Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Mindy Eggen for Tailored Expressions. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I use the half a heart layered stencil. So first I want to show you the supplies that I'll be using in today's video, starting with the half a heart layered stencil, which is a 3-piece stencil set. I have the Building Blocks Love Edition, On the Block Love Stamp and Die Set. For cardstock, I'll be using Cherry Pop, Oreo, gold foil cardstock, and sugar cube cardstock. For my inks, I have pink champagne, lollipop, cherry pop, Oreo, and VersaMark for some heat embossing. Some additional supplies are foam sticky strips, some white embossing powder, gold drip drops, tweezers, an embellishment wand. I have my Scotch tape runner, an anti-static powder tool, Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive, which is a liquid adhesive, some low-tack tape, and I'll also be using the blending brushes. Now we can move on to actually making the card. Here is a look at that half a heart layered stencil, and it is a 3-piece set. Now all of these stencils have down in the bottom corner, it tells you what layer is your first, second, and third layer, and it's going to create just that, a half a heart, and it's going to enable you to create a very colorful heart background. So I am starting by placing a little bit of the Scotch tape runner on the back side of my cardstock, and then on the Tailored Expressions grid mat, I'm lining that up in the vertical position, that frame that's there for me, very helpful. And then I'm taking some low-tack tape and just holding that stencil down at the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to start by ink blending on some pink champagne, and I'm using the Tailored Expressions blending brushes. I'm starting off of the cardstock and blending my way onto it. And when I'm blending these hearts, I like to go in both directions. So I start off by blending to my left, and then I will change that up and blend to my right. And the reason for that is because with stencils, you kind of have a little bit of a lip, so that helps you make sure you're getting the entire area. One side's not going to be lighter than the other unless you intentionally want it that way. So then after I removed that first layer, I'm adding the second layer on top, and I'm lining this up with those registration marks that are off on each side. So you see those little squares on the stencil. You can line those up on each one so that this is going to be in perfect placement. So now this is the lollipop ink that I added that second layer on with. And then for the third layer, I'm bringing in cherry pop. So I'm going full on Valentine's on this card. I'm over the Christmas, I'm over the winter. I am full on red and pinks and just loving the brightness of all of these colors and really getting into the Valentine mood right now. This comes in handy because my daughter's birthday is right around Valentine's Day too. So now to remove this, I just kind of twist and turn my cardstock, and that just helps release that adhesive from the back of it. I'll move on to stamping my sentiment. I'm using the Building Blocks Love Edition stamp set, so it's going to stamp out all of these sentiments at once. Now this is an already foam mounted red rubber stamp, so I took out the foam insert from my Misty tool, lined up my stamp onto some cherry pop cardstock, and I'm going to prep that with an anti-static powder tool. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiments in some VersaMark ink, which is a really nice sticky ink, which is great for heat embossing. Close the door, stamp that down, and you want to make sure you're also getting those little squares off on the side. Those are our registration marks to help line up the die. So I'm sprinkling on white embossing powder, tapping off any of the excess. Make sure you're getting that embossing powder on those little squares. And then just heat setting this and melting that embossing powder with my heat tool. And now I'm taking the die for this, lining up the squares with the die, and that's cutting out everything at once. Now I wanted to show you quick how I die cut these. So when I lay my cardstock down, I'm tilting it in my die cutting machine. And this just helps. You're still going to have some cracking noises, but it's not as bad. And I really didn't have any noise with it. It still die cut beautifully. It's just something I like to do when I have dies like this, is just kind of turn it. And then I can just pop all of these out. Now these are all die cut, but they did stay together kind of nice. So I'm just going to go through, pick out which ones I want to use for my card, and the rest of these I'm going to put in my Tailored Expressions storage cases that I have. I now have the On the Block Love and its coordinating die, and I'm going to first start by stamping this Love block word. Now I'm using Oreo ink on Sugar Cube cardstock, but because these are pretty thick block letters, I'm going to stamp this twice just to make sure I'm getting the boldest black I can get out of it. Now I did stamp in the middle of the cardstock because I am going to shift that up a little bit and stamp this again. I want 3 of them because I want them to have 3 going down my card. So after I stamp this second one, I'm actually going to flip the cardstock and I'll stamp a third one upside down. After these are all stamped, I'm going to line up that coordinating die and die cut out all 3 of them. I'm also going to take this coordinating die and I'm going to die cut it 3 times from gold foil cardstock. I didn't stamp it, I just want that background piece. It's going to be a shadow layer for my card. So here is my basic layout of what I want the card to look like. I'm going to attach those gold foil shadow layers with the Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive. And this is going to allow me a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm really paying attention to the margins on each side of it. And I want to make sure that those sentiments fit in between each one without any overlapping. I'm going to line the back of the love word that I stamped out with the foam sticky strips. I discovered them in my drawer. I forgot they had them, so I got a little carried away with my dimension on my card. I had taken a break from card making for a little bit over Christmas break, so I was full of inspiration, ready to go, and just kind of went all out on this card. And I love how much dimension that this gives. And when I placed it down, I shifted it over a little bit because I wanted to really show that shadow layer using that gold foil cardstock. So I did that for all 3 of the loves. And then I'm also going to add that foam sticky strips to my smaller sentiments. Now you want to make sure you're ready to place that where you want it because they are really sticky and I didn't want to peel it back up if anything ended up crooked. So really be ready where you want to put those. Now to add just a bit more bling to my card, I am going to be adding the gold drip drops to the ends of my sentiments on each side. And I'm just doing that with an embellishment wand and my Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive. Now what I really love about this card, even though I kind of went full on Valentine colors, what I love about this is I can actually use this for a birthday card. I can give this to my daughter. I could give this to my mom if I wanted to. It's a lot of love on this card, like literally a lot of love. So, and I love how much dimension that those foam sticky strips added to my words. I hope you enjoyed my card inspiration. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you again real soon.